Welcome to this holy instant now. An instant to stop and remember. Remember who and what you truly are, beyond the matrix of fear, lack, and limitation. All that seems to limit you in this world is only an illusion that demands your continued belief and attention in order to have any power over you. Now is your opportunity to let go of whatever stands in the way of your complete awareness of your true and original self. And now, sit back with your spine upright. Get comfortable and take a deep, slow breath. And as you exhale, release both past and future. Release both memory and imagination, and become fully present in the now. And let's begin. The purpose of today's practice is to challenge the belief in death and separation from the infinite Creator, to see clearly that death is an idea in the mind that takes on many forms and stems in itself from the mistaken belief that we are separate from God. The outcome of mastering this lesson is the recognition that life is eternal and that our true identity is one with God, thus resulting in the liberation from fear and the experience of inner peace. By realizing that death is an illusion and that our true essence is inseparable from God, we can let go of the anxieties, sorrows, and suffering associated with the belief in death. We awaken from the dream of separation and embrace our inherent perfection, recognizing that we are forever united with the source of life, and through this understanding, we can live a life of joy, knowing that our true nature is divine and eternal. To serve this purpose, we practice with this idea today. There is one life, and that I share with God. So take a deep, slow breath now, and as you exhale slowly, release your attention from the past and the future, from memory and imagination, and let yourself sink deeply into presence now. Opening your mind to a different perception and an insight into your true self. There are not different kinds of life, for life is like the truth. It does not have degrees. It is the one condition in which all of God's creation shares. Like all thoughts of God, life has no opposite. There is no death, because what God created shares His eternal life. There is no death because an opposite to God does not exist. There is no death because the infinite Creator and His creation are one. God is life, and what God creates must be living. And so to cease living would be to separate from God, to become God's opposite, and to take on qualities the divinity does not possess. Yet since God has no opposite, being all-encompassing and infinite, death has no reality. In this dream matrix, death appears to be a reality that is opposite to life, and the idea of death takes on many forms. Death is the one idea which underlies all feelings that are not supremely happy. It is the alarm to which you give response of any kind that is not perfect joy. All sorrow, loss, anxiety, and suffering, all pain, and even little sighs of weariness, or slight discomforts, or the merest frown, acknowledge death. This is because to be less than perfectly joyful is to assert that there is something other than God, other than eternal life, other than infinite love. You think that death is of the body, yet it is but an idea, irrelevant to what is seen as physical. A thought is in the mind, and ideas do not leave their source. They remain in the mind which thought them. This means that ideas cannot take on an independent existence, become self-sustaining and separate from their source, and become capable of opposition to the mind that created them. Death is the thought that you are separate from your Creator. It is the belief that conditions change and emotions alternate because of causes you cannot control, you did not make, and you can never change. It is the fixed belief that ideas can leave their source and take on qualities that their source does not contain, becoming different from their own origin, apart from it in kind, as well as distance, time, and form. So contemplate for a moment just how much the idea of death influences you throughout your days. Notice those little sighs of weariness, the twinges of anxiety, and recognize that the idea of death underlies all of them. The idea that separation from God is real and that something other than God exists. Death cannot come from life. Ideas remain united to their source. They can extend all that their source contains, but they cannot give birth to what was never given them. As they are made, so will their making be. As they were born, so will they then give birth. And where they come from, there they will return. This principle is reflected in every aspect of nature, from the life cycle of a tree to the life cycle of any being. And yet the mind can think that it sleeps, but that is all. It cannot change what is its waking state. It cannot make a body, nor abide within a body in reality. What is alien to the mind does not exist, because what is alien to the mind has no source. For mind creates all things and cannot give them attributes that it lacks, nor can it change its own eternal, mindful state. It cannot make the physical, and what seems to die is but the sign of mind asleep. The opposite of life can only be another form of life. As such, it can be reconciled with what created it, because it is not opposite in truth. Its form and appearance may change. It may appear to be what it is not. And yet mind is mind, awake or sleeping. It is not its opposite in anything created, nor in what it seems to make when it believes it sleeps. What seems to be the opposite of life is merely sleeping. When the mind elects to be what it is not and to assume an alien power which it does not have, a foreign state it cannot enter, or a false condition not contained within its source, it merely seems to go to sleep a while. It dreams of time, an interval in which what seems to happen never has occurred. The changes that come about are substanceless, and all events are nowhere. When the mind awakes, it but continues as it always was. So let us today remember the truth that makes us already free, and not deny our holy heritage. Our life is not as we imagine it. Who changes life because he shuts his eyes, or makes himself what he is not because he sleeps and sees and dreams an opposite of what he is? Reality remains unchanged, forever one with its source, and sharing only in the attributes that its source contains. So take another deep, slow breath here, and as you let it go, open your awareness to your true self and begin the time of silence in which you receive the voice of God within you with these words: there is one life, and that I share with God. And now, as you approach the completion of this practice period, take one more deep, slow, and full breath in, drawing in the energy and the fruits of your practice, breathing all the way to the top, and for a moment hold it as you behold the intention to integrate the fruits and insights of your practice into your perception and thought system now. And as you exhale slowly, relax and release and allow the integration to take place. And remember to bring this feeling and this idea with you into the rest of your day. There is one life, and that I share with God. And as we close this practice period, take a moment now to thank yourself for taking the time to connect with truth and to remember and activate the state of peace and happiness within yourself. And remember to carry this sense of gratitude and inner peace with you as you go about your day, doing what needs to be done, but knowing that you are always connected to the love and joy of God.